Basically, at this point, I'm going to be giving an opening statement on behalf of the plaintiff, Emani Ellis, to give you a little overview of what this case is about. So, basically, the evidence will show that this is a case where Emani Ellis, on February 24th, 2018, at around 7 a.m., went to her job as she usually did, as a security guard. And her job was to protect the building on behalf of the landlord. And she went to her job on that day, and at approximately, the evidence will show that approximately 1:30 p.m., as she was doing her rounds, she was on the 5th floor, and the defendant got off the elevator. And as the defendant got off the elevator, the evidence will show that plaintiff was excited. She was actually a fan of the defendant before this incident occurred. She was a fan of the defendant. And she said, "Wow, Cardi B is here," or something to that effect. And then the action happened. The evidence will show that Cardi B misunderstood what happened. The plaintiff was simply excited to see her and made that excited utterance. The evidence will show that the plaintiff had an earpiece on her phone, in her ear. And when she was there in the building, Cardi B, again, mistakenly thought that Emani Ellis was telling people that Cardi B was at the building, but that is not the case. Plaintiff will testify that that is absolutely not the case. Now, Miss Ellis at the time was in uniform. She was working for Allied Security. She had a license to be a security guard from 2014 to 2018. Miss Ellis was hired on behalf of the owner of the building, the landlord. And the landlord has a right to tell people to come in their building or to leave their building. If someone causes a disturbance, the security guard has the right to tell somebody, "Sorry, you gotta leave. And if you don't leave, we're gonna call the police." Yeah, that's their right to do that. The evidence will show that Cardi B was causing a disturbance. She started to yell, she started to curse, she started to really say things that don't make sense in this day and age. I think we all know that in this day and age you don't use these type of language to people. Okay? I'm not going to even say the word. We'll have Emani Ellis tell you what the word is. You'll all hear how hurtful that word was to Emani Ellis. After she stated those words and hurt Emani Ellis, she then took a swing at her and attempted to hit her in the face. The evidence will show that after that, or sometime in between that, the evidence will show that Cardi B spit on the plaintiff, actually spit on her. And that's considered, according to the law, the evidence will show that it's considered an assault and battery in and of itself. There's some law enforcement people that would actually assault someone back if they got spit on. You can't just go around spitting on people. So the evidence will show that the defendant spit on the plaintiff. And then finally, to make it all worse and make it really bad, Cardi B then, in the attack, cut Emani Ellis's left cheek. She cut it with her fingernail. Cardi B is left-handed, and somehow she was able to cut the left cheek with her left hand. Okay? Because of this attack, Emani Ellis went to a Dr. Scher. Dr. Scher is a cosmetic surgeon, or was a cosmetic surgeon. The evidence will show that Ms. Emani Ellis went to Dr. Scher to find out what can be done to help her with this cut. And Dr. Scher said we need to wait for at least a year, maybe 2 years, because we want to see if it turns into a scar. You can't just run and do plastic surgery. So it did turn into a scar. And when she waited, and it was also very costly. She couldn't really afford the surgery. And as we all know, in April of 2020, the pandemic started. So another couple of years were lost because plastic surgery is an elective surgery. So she lived with the scar for another couple of years. And in 2021, Dr. Scher died. He passed away. Evidence will show that. In 2022, Emani Ellis went to a different doctor, Brent Mulliken, who you will hear from. Brent Mulliken is a plastic surgeon who is designated as an expert witness in this case, who will testify in his opinion why he believes where the scar came from in his opinion, which he will testify. The evidence will show that he will testify in his expert opinion of being a plastic surgeon, that the scar came from a fingernail. The defendant, in addition to having long fingernails of 2 to 3 inches long on a regular basis, she also has different metal objects that are attached to the fingernails, which make it more dangerous if you're going to touch somebody's face or something. You will hear from Emani Ellis. She will testify today about what happened to her. You will hear from the defendant, and then you will hear from Emani Ellis's grandmother, if we get to that point today, where she will explain a little bit about the changes that happened with Emani Ellis. So in a civil case, it's a little bit different. It's not, the scales of justice have to be tipped just a little bit more than 50%. You don't have to prove 100%. This is not a criminal case, this is a civil case. And as the judge read, one witness, the testimony of one witness alone is sufficient for you to believe that testimony. That's in the jury instruction that were just read to you now. The testimony of a single witness is enough to prove a fact. That's what we just heard now. And you will hear from multiple witnesses. The other thing I wanted to mention before I close is there needs to be some accountability from the defendant. The defendant has taken no accountability for what she has done. There should be some level of respect for security guards. When a security guard approaches somebody and asks them to leave the building, or approaches someone and tries to explain what happened, they should give some type of respect to the security guard and listen to what happened. No matter what, even if, this is not true, even if Emani Ellis told all her friends that Cardi B was in the building, there was no reason to curse at her, spit at her, take a swing at her, and cut her face. All that is unnecessary and uncalled for. So with that, I ask you to keep an open mind, hear all of the evidence. Thank you very much.